It's a business. Businesses have to operate. Businesses can't be impeded upon. So very important that everybody remember that. And and the other thing is I keep on hearing this, and it's really bothering me that this statement is being made, that I've heard this a couple of times in the press, that SOAPA is under investigation. SOAPA is not under investigation. We have not been told one time. Is anybody here? Have we been told that SOAPA is under investigation? Have we seen a filed document that says that SOAPA is under investigation? I'm throwing this out. I'm just wondering.
I've never said that. I mean,
we've seen a search warrant, I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but it didn't say that SOAPA was under investigation. If I remember right, the search warrant never said that. But
We'll go back and look what was taken.
that does not mean SOAPA's under investigation. And to say so is defamatory. I urge you not to say that. Please.
It's just facts. It's just facts.
Investigation, investigation, investigation. That's right. SOAPA is under investigation. Folks, you're not going to believe what transpired in the last meeting of the county commissioners. When we looked at the meeting as a whole and what took place, it was so much bizarro world that I talked to our head writer, and we're kind of Sin Mackley, and we're kind of back and forth on how we should present this. And the only thing that we can do, because it's frankly bizarre, is to break it down into sections and explain the insanity in that section, and then we'll move on to another section. So I'm going to play for you the first little bit of chunk, let you kind of take it all in, and then we're going to break it down. All right. So that's really the best way we can do this story any justice at all, because to write an article based on what's you're gonna see is a toughie. So let's do it. This is part one. I need to set this up. I need to tell you. So WNXT Bill Shope is at the county commissioner, and he's asking for some clarification about SOAPA. And if you remember, we wrote an article about where is SOAPA, because it kind of disappeared, for a minute. And so that's what started this whole thing. Now, I got to give props to Bill Shope. He has been relentless in this pursuit, and a lot of that goes to him. A lot of that goes to the new company that now owns WNXT, to allow him to do that, because they have they have the control to say what they're going to spend money on and what they're not. And I also say, and I'll put all the reference links in the description, but I also say that I have told you that we started the investigation 8 months prior to the search warrants. And when we started asking questions, we were told that if we said anything about this, that we would find ourselves in a legal situation. So I'm going to go through these clips. We have sent these clips to our legal team, and they have given us advice and clarification. So we're going to talk about that too. But Bill Shope has done a wonderful job, and I'm glad now they're willing to talk about it, because 8 months before this all started, which would now be almost a year ago, when I started this investigation, they were threatening me with legal action. So thankfully, it's out in the public enough now to where we are all talking about it. So let's watch the very first part of this interaction with WNXT's Bill Shope and the county commissioners. Here we go with that first clip.
some questions off the agenda just to kind of follow up and clean up some things and get some clarification. I am grateful to the commissioners for the physical address for the new SOAPA office or the satellite SOAPA office, whatever it is out there. Have you guys been given any reason for that move to this point?
Yeah. Yeah, the move was simple. They were separated from their files. They were separated from their opportunity or their ability to do business. There was a time frame where they were not allowed to access, and then, of course, we know later on there was a search warrant, and many of those files were taken. But the SOPA board, they said we can never be separated from our files again. And what happened was the director was told he was not allowed to have access to anything initially, and they saw that as a really business interference, and they decided we can't let that happen again. So that's why they've done what they've done.
But, and I don't want to, that's the first I've heard from that perspective. What files are different out there that they can access that they couldn't, here?
They literally were not allowed to have physical, they weren't allowed to have their files when that first happened. Okay? And when you're in the middle of projects and things, to be separated from your operations, that would be like the radio station. You have to do radio, but you can't do it in your office. You can't operate. You can't access your equipment. It's the same principle, but that's what happened initially. So the board made that decision. It wasn't our decision. They made the decision. So it's really a more appropriate question for them to contact them, and if you want to, reach out to SOPA and ask that question. But that's what I was told, was that they needed to separate at that point, because they can't ever be separated again like that, because they are a separate entity. That's the thing everybody needs to understand. SOPA itself is an operating entity. It's quasi-governmental, but it's still not. There is confidential information. There are files. There are business transactions taking place that are not county related at all in any way, shape, or form. So to not have access to their business records, that should not have happened. I'm saying it should have happened. So they are taking steps to make sure that does not happen again. Where they locate at, where they operate at, it's theirs. And this is I'm speaking for myself here, but that is their decision. We can't interfere in that business relationship one way at all. They are literally dealing with millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of bonding that has to take place. There are transactions that have to take place. There are transactions that have to be handled between themselves, Pure Cycle, Benestar, and these things have to happen. They are an ongoing concern. It's a business. Businesses have to operate. Businesses can't be impeded upon. So very important that everybody remember that. And the other thing is I keep on hearing this, and it's really bothering me that this statement is being made, that I've heard this a couple times in the press, that SOPA is under investigation. SOPA is not under investigation. We have not been told one time. Has anybody here, have we been told that SOPA is under investigation? Have we seen a filed document that says the SOPA is under investigation? I'm throwing this out. I'm just wondering.
I've never said that.
We've seen a search warrant not mistaken.
Okay, but it didn't say that SOPA was under investigation. If I remember right, the search warrant never said that. But
we'll go back and look what was taken.
That does not mean SOPA's under investigation. And to say so is defamatory. I urge you not to say that. Please.
It's just facts. It's just facts.
Okay, so there's the first part. Now, already in this first part, we need to break this down into a couple of sections, all right? So then we'll address them in each section so you can see the fullness of it. You're also going to notice that when I show these snippets, they're going to overlap. The first couple of seconds are going to overlap, and I've done that to show you the continuity, that we're not just picking and choosing certain things. So I purposely let these snippets overlap a couple of seconds just to show the continuity of the conversation. So here's the first snippet. Let's listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it.
SOPA board, They said we can never be separated from our files again. And what happened is the director was told he was not allowed to have access to anything initially, and they saw that as a really business interference, and they decided we can't let that happen again. So that's why they've done what they've done.
But, and I don't want to, that's the first I've heard from that perspective. What files are different out there that they can access that they couldn't, here?
They literally were not allowed to have physical, they weren't allowed to have their files when that first happened. Okay? And when you're in the middle of projects and things, to be separated from your operations, that would be like the radio station. You have to do radio, but you can't do it in your office. You can't operate. You can't access your equipment. It's the same principle, but that's what happened initially. So the board made that decision. It wasn't our decision. They made the decision. So it's really a more appropriate question for them to contact them, and if you want to, reach out to SOAPA and ask that question. But that's what I was told, was that they needed to separate at that point, because they can't ever be separated again like that, because they are a separate entity. That's the thing everybody needs to understand. SOAPA itself is an operating entity. It's quasi-governmental, but it's still not. There is confidential information. There are files. There are business transactions taking place that are not county related at all in any way, shape, or form. So to not have access to their business records, that should not have happened. I'm saying it should have happened. So they are taking steps to make sure that does not happen again. Where they locate at, where they operate at, it's theirs. And this is I'm speaking for myself here, but that is their decision. We can't interfere in that business relationship one way at all. They are literally dealing with millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of bonding that has to take place. There are transactions that have to take place. There are transactions that have to be handled between themselves, Pure Cycle, Benestar, and these things have to happen. They are an ongoing concern. It's a business.
Okay, you heard him. It's a business. SOPA is a business. But earlier he did say they were quasi-governmental. Then they said they were a business. Now, let me take you back just a couple of steps so you can kind of fully understand what transpired. Okay. The county spent $15,000-ish, maybe 20, to remodel and make accommodations for the Southern Ohio Port Authority, which is SOPA, within the Economic Development Building. So they were going to have them both in the same building, and they spent a bunch of money to remodel. Now, the SOPA board makes up, it has a total of 5 members. 2 of those members are county employees. The other 3 are not. What happened, what sparked this part of the conversation, is they disappeared. And they moved their offices, even though the county just spent a bunch of money to open, to give them more accommodations within the Economic Development Office. They took off. And for a little while, nobody knew where they were. And if you remember, and we'll show you, all the links are going to be in the description. But we had an article, where is SOPA? They didn't know where it was in the meeting. They didn't know where it was. Okay. Well, come to find out, it's in a nondescript building, and I'm gonna get to that. It's again Bizarro. All right. But the first couple of things I want to address out of that snippet is about the business. Is SOPA a government agency, or are they a business? So I'm going over to the notes from the attorney. And so I asked questions in a different order than what we're talking about them right now. So bear with me just one second. Is the Southern Ohio Port Authority a governmental agency under the direct control of the Scioto County Commissioners? The answer to that is no. The Southern Ohio Port Authority, or any port authority, is not under the direct control of the Scioto County Commissioners or any single government entity under ORC 458.2.22. Right? They are political subdivisions. Next question. Is the Southern Ohio Port Authority a business? Answer. No. The Southern Ohio Port Authority is not a business. Instead, it is a political subdivision of the state of Ohio. And they quoted ORC 4582.22A, 40582.31A. Then my next question, would it be accurate to say the Southern Ohio Port Authority is a quasi-governmental agency? That answer is yes. Yes, it would be accurate to describe the Southern Ohio Port Authority as a quasi-governmental agency. The terminology reflects its status as a political subdivision. The term quasi-governmental appropriately describes the entities like the Port Authority, which are established by governmental bodies but operate within certain powers, issuing bonds, acquiring property, and that is through ORC 4582.31. So the bit of being a quasi governmental agency, that's right. Are they a business? No. Are they a truly governmental agency? No. They are what is termed a political subdivision, or as this commissioner says, quasi governmental, right? So we got that cleared up about what is SOPA. Okay. Now let's go to the next snippet.
It's a
Here we go.
business. Businesses have to operate. Businesses can't be impeded upon. So, very important that everybody remember that. And the other thing is I keep on hearing this, and it's really bothering me that this statement is being made. That I've heard this a couple times in the press, that SOPA is under investigation. SOPA is not under investigation. We have not been told one time. Is anybody here? Have we been told that SOPA is under investigation? Have we seen a filed document that says the SOPA is under investigation? I'm throwing this out. I'm just wondering.
I've never said that. I mean,
We've seen a search
Okay.
warrant and what was taken.
Okay,
This board has.
but it didn't say that SOPA was under investigation. If I remember right, the search warrant never said that. But
We'll go back and look what was taken.
that does not mean SOPA's under investigation. And to say so is defamatory. I urge you not to say that. Please.
It's just facts. It's just facts.
Defamatory to say SOPA is under investigation. Investigation, SOPA's under investigation. Now, let's look at a few things. The first thing I'm going to show you is from our article. Here was the headline. County commissioners fully cooperating with investigators after search warrants are issued, or I'm sorry, search warrants are served. And in that article right here, Commissioner Scotty Powell said he understood the public's interest. It is an ongoing investigation, and we are well aware of the warrants that were served. This office is cooperating fully with investigators and will continue to do so. We are very cooperative with what they have requested of us. So there is a county commissioner using the word investigator. But to be fair, let's go back. Let's look at this. Underneath the box, Commissioner Davis did not attend that meeting. Okay. So we need to be fair. Maybe Mr. Davis just didn't know that the word investigation had already been used. So we go to the next article we did. Commissioners don't know what search warrants are about either. And within that article, we'll go down and zoom in just a little bit. Commissioner Brian Davis said that the commissioners aren't at liberty to comment on an ongoing investigation, but did say, quote, I will go as far as to say that we are taking steps to assist in that investigation, and any result of that investigation, we will take prompt action on. He himself said investigation 2 times in one quote. So, yes, it's not defamatory. Then I double checked with our legal team. So let me go over here to those notes. Again, these are out of order from what we're talking about. So bear with me here. Bear with me. I said bear with me. Bear with me. Here it is. Is it defamatory to say that a governmental body is under investigation? Okay, here's what they said. If a statement that a governmental body is, quote, under investigation is true, it cannot be defamatory. They went on to say, the execution of a search warrant strongly suggests that law enforcement is conducting an investigation, which is what Scotty Powell says. They did a search warrant. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Take all this stuff, put it in a room, and not look at it? So if a search warrant relates to a governmental body, the statement that it is, quote, under investigation would generally be considered accurate and therefore not defamatory. When I said Bizarro world, I wasn't joking. Okay. So let's see what else we have. I loaded these clips up a long time ago, so I'm trying to remember where we're at so I can stay with it. Because it is okay. Here's our next clip.
It's a business. Businesses have to operate. Businesses can't be impeded upon. So, very important that everybody remember that. And the other thing is I can't.
That's one I've just showed you. Human over here, people. All right, this is the next one.
These are things that we cannot interfere in those business relationships, and it's very sensitive. We need to be careful not to. And they are taking steps. They're taking the necessary steps they need to take. They feel it's not our decision. It is not our decision to interfere. Now I understand, that there's some strongly held beliefs here, but the bottom line is they are a company that can operate how they want to operate by law. So we cannot interfere. We will. I won't. I'm not interfering. And I believe that they are taking the proper steps to make sure that they can continue to operate and do what they have to do statutorily, regulatorily. I mean, all these things have to be done right. And they have requirements by law that they have to do, and they're doing it.
So the counties or the commissioners are just kind of basically, and I'm doing this for clarification because like I said, there's a lot of chatter out there and I want people to hear things coming straight from you guys. And so the county's limited basically to, as far as Southern Ohio Port Authority is concerned, to being able to appoint and remove board members, correct?
That's it.
The alpha and omega of your relationship with
Statutorily,
SOAPA?
yes. That is the statute under Ohio Revised Code.
Okay. All right. And I know that the office out there is on private property and everything else. I've taken great care not to mention people's names over this whole gig for the very reasons you're talking about. The person whose property that's sitting on, where they're at, it's a garage there off Piketon Road. Have they had any contractual arrangements or have they won contracts to do work for Southern Ohio Port Authority, say at the Medford Airport or any other place that you're aware of?
I would encourage you to talk to SOAPA.
Okay.
About all of that. If there's contracts, if there's anything, talk to SOAPA. That is not our business.
Okay, well, I know back in 2017, I was looking over my notes the other night. uh, You in particular had issued a letter to some members of the SOAPA board at that time, talking about the main economic engine no longer in our county would be Southern Ohio Port Authority, but it would be economic development. It seems that has shifted. Has there been some kind of legislation that has changed or something, or can you answer why that's changed? Because now it seems like the Port Authority is once again the main economic engine here.
Nothing has officially changed. And until the commissioners say it has, then but nothing's changed. We're still operating like we have. There's still an economic development office. There's a port authority. They may not be in the building they were in, but there's still a port authority. Them operating outside of a county building has been done multiple times in the past before. This isn't a big deal as some people want to make it out to be. And unless somebody else wants to make a comment, but there's I don't know what you're driving toward, but please talk to the Port Authority. That's one thing.
I'm not driving towards anything except clarification. Like I said,
Okay.
I've been very careful about how I phrase things and how I ask things, so no one will get their name dragged through the mud about things. Obviously, I can't control what goes on, with other outlets or news sites or internet sites, whatever you want to call them. I can't do that. But what I can do is ask, because there are a lot of people that listen to you every meeting, and I just want to make sure that they hear straight coming from you, so that way it's level and there's no two ways about it.
Okay. All right. Speak to the Port Authority.
Okay. So now this is talking about the new location of SOPA. A month ago, I drove out and I found where this SOPA is located. I would call it Memphis, but I guess it's Lucasville mailing address. But here is the picture I took. Okay. Now you look at this. Now, again, this is on private property, large garages. Do you see anything? And I looked around by the street. Do you see any signage? First off, for the public to attend a meeting? No. Do you see any signage for a potential business that wants to invest millions of dollars into our county? Is this an inviting look? Come to this nondescript garage on a piece of private property when they have millions of dollars and they want to invest in Southern Ohio. But if they go to Jackson County or if they go to a different county, they'll be greeted differently than this strange building out in Memphis, Lucasville, whatever you want to call it. And Bill Shope brought up the thing that, yes, this is a building that belongs to a contractor. And then Bill Shope says, well, is there a potential, or does SOPA do business with this contractor? That was a very good question. So, yeah, this is where your SOPA office is now. Okay. This is just nuts. How are you going to invite businesses to come and invest in our county and send them to a random barn in Minford? It's ridiculous. And as far as public, because we announce when the public meetings are, how are you going to know where to go? So it's just nuts. Okay. The other part is, and it should be glaringly obvious, but I'm going to kind of put a pin in it. When a search warrant is issued, now the state knows that the economic development is in one spot and SOPA is in another spot. And if they want to deal with SOPA, they're still going to go out there to that building. So the whole concept of saying, well, they can't be without their documents. If the attorney general decides to do another search warrant, they're going to go out to Piketon, or not Piketon, Memphis, To think that the reason to do this is to keep your records. That is another way of saying, so this can't happen again. Keep the records so this can't happen again. That is close to saying we're going to do our best to impede any other search warrant that would come out. Tell me your thoughts. Does it sound like that to you? Sounds like that to me, that they want to separate so that they can continue business. This can't happen again, all that stuff. But do they not realize that state knows where they're at now? So the whole move is a mute point at this time. If they want to issue another search warrant, they're going to add this piece of private property on top of it. I don't know what kind of protections they think they have, but it's it's uh, it's just getting good. Now the next part really makes me mad. You thought I was frustrated. I'm not. Now this part makes me mad. So here we go with the next clip. Let me get to it. Here we go.
Do that, but what I can do is ask, because there are a lot of people that listen to you every meeting, and I just want to make sure that they hear straight coming from you, so that way it's level and there's no two ways about it.
Okay. All right. Speak to the Port Authority.
You got it.
You have the ability to contact them, so.
Well, now that I know where they're at, yeah.
Well,
No, you have text. You have the ability to text.
Yes.
You've texted. Matter of fact, when you said that you didn't have the ability to contact them, you contacted them the week before and got the date of that meeting. Now, Bill, I've got copies of the text, so don't tell the public that you didn't have the ability to contact them when you did and had.
I never said that. What I said was I don't know where their physical address was at.
Okay,
That's
we're done.
exactly what was said.
No, you said you were unable to contact
not
them.
accurate.
Yeah, we could go back through the film and watch it if you'd like to.
Okay.
You said you had the inability, you could not, you didn't know how to contact them. That's what you said.
Physically. But again, the same phone
Come
number
on.
is applicable to the economic
Come
development
on, Bill.
department.
Physically, text, electronically, you had the ability to contact them, to ask them the question. You did not,
I've never
I'm done.
denied being able to
We're
contact
done.
economic development via text or phone or anything like that.
We're
Matter of
done.
fact, when the director asked me to make sure that we got an announcement on the air that they had a special meeting coming up, I did that. I even exceeded what he asked for.
which was contact, the ability to contact.
Yeah.
You acknowledged that you did have contact with the Port Authority.
Through text. What I
Okay.
said was if I wanted to go pick up something like documents or file a public records request, I didn't know where to go.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
well,
The fact that Bill Shope maintained his poise after being dressed down by a public official, all I can do is just say applause, applause. Because I'm going to tell you what, public officials, you are elected. You are elected. And then you are accountable to the people that have elected you. And when the press asks you a question, you absolutely do not dress them down and try to catch them up in this and this and this. Oh, come on, I'm done. I'm done. This is not how we do things. Okay. Now, if you want to be Trump, go be Trump. But that's national. That's a show. All right. This is our business. This is our county. This is our most local form of government. And we do not tolerate elected officials dressing down members of the press that is trying to get a straight answer out of them. And as you can see from what we have already shown you, there are very few straight answers. I ran this past our legal team as well. Let me take a look. You don't do this, folks. You don't do this. All right. First, I asked if it was legal for a governmental, an elected official to argue or personally attack with a member of press? And that answer is yes, it's legal. But they operate, elected officials operate under the law, and they also operate under a code of ethics. There is an ethics commission. So let's go down here. Is it ethical for a commissioner to behave argumentatively or make personal verbal attacks on a journalist? Their answer: from an ethical perspective, such behavior would generally be considered unprofessional and inappropriate for an elected official. Public officials, including county commissioners, are expected to conduct themselves in a manner that reflects integrity, accountability, and respect for the democratic process. Let me see. There was something else. Ethical guidelines for public officials, as outlined in the codes of conduct or general governmental ethics principles, often emphasize constructive dialogue, maintaining public trust. Argumentative behavior. Now, listen, this is important. Argumentative behavior or verbal attacks can erode trust between government officials and the press, which plays a critical watchdog role. Again, from our legal team. So, was it legal? Yeah, it's legal. You can be a jerk. It's your First Amendment right to be a jerk. But when it comes to ethics and standards, it's a no-no. You don't dress down the press and treat them like second-class citizens when they're trying to get answers from you to give to your constituents who are legitimately trying to figure out what on earth is going on. So I'm not going to say that part, but Bill Shope did very good at showing restraint because had another journalist been treated that way in that meeting, it would have gone differently. So I have one more clip, and this is the wrap up. All right.
Okay.
Well, and I'll guess I'll throw some gasoline on the fire, Bill. Why not? You've had issues getting a hold, so have I. I've sent emails to our employee and the Port Authority, and I can't get responses. So if you're not getting responses and I'm not getting responses, sometimes the first time I hear news about what's going on with the Port Authority or economic development is when I'm sitting in this chair. So clearly there's communication issues one way or the other. So please reach out to the Port Authority. If you don't hear from them, I guess show up at their meetings. But outside of that, it's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
No problem.
All right.
That's
Anything
it.
else?
I sent you, yes, ma'am.
One last thing from me. I'd like to put all of this to rest. Are there any other questions concerning SOAPA or economic development or
That's a great
whatever, so that
question.
we can move past this? Seems like we bring this up almost every meeting, and it seems almost the same question. So, are there any other questions from the from anyone out there, or from you, Bill, or any other news agency?
At this point, for me, absolutely no. I
Good.
mean, and like I said before, I am here for clarification
Thank you,
purposes.
and I appreciate
And
that.
that's it to a nutshell. I mean, or in a nutshell, excuse me. But that's the only reason I'm here.
That's good. I appreciate that. You've always been fair about that. So if that's all, are there any other comments at this time?
No comments.
Well, that's
That's
good.
it.
Start the new year with a
Thank you.
fresh outlook on.
And Merry Christmas.
And you too.
Merry Christmas, Bill.
All righty.
Are we, is your pleasure to adjourn prior to?
Yes, please. That would be good if we could
Oh, what are we doing? We're
adjourn.
adjourning?
Yes.
And then
we're
come
going.
back?
Yes, we
And
got to do
have a
this.
meeting?
Great.
Yes,
So I will
great.
make, unless there's comments, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Mr. Powell?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye. All right. Let's do something more joyful.
Let's do something enjoyable. Yeah. So in that clip, we've first heard from Commissioner Powell. And again, Bill Shope's doing an excellent job. He's using very good words about we just need clarification. I'm just trying to get clarification. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to understand what in the world is going on. Okay. So then you heard from Commissioner Powell, who also said that he was having trouble getting responses from this quasi governmental agency. Okay. Then we hear from Commissioner Coleman, and Commissioner Coleman wants to put the whole thing to rest. And I don't blame her. Let's put the whole thing to rest. Are there any more questions? We want to be done with this. This is taking up almost every meeting. We're doing this. All right. Anything else? Now, what is the reason why this is taking up so much time in the meetings? Because they're not giving the clarification. It's still a stinking pile of mud. So to say we're just going to wipe it clean, we're all done with this, we're not done. The state's not done. The press is not done. The people are not done. So we can't just, well, all right, this is it. This is it. Right? The cake is baked. We're done. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then at the very end, you hear Davis say, let's do something more enjoyable. We would all like to do something more enjoyable. But if we could get straight answers, we wouldn't have to keep going over and over this. And then in the description, you're going to see the articles. We wouldn't have to do a half a dozen articles on the same subject because we keep getting all these different weird answers, and strangeness begets strangeness begets strangeness, and it's just a big mess. And to try to clarify or to untangle the entanglements, the press has no choice but to ask for that clarification. So, uh, Commissioner Coleman, all due respect, uh, we can't just wipe the slate clean. Not yet. Not yet. Because there's still too many questions. All right. Give us your questions in the comments below and let us know what you think about this whole thing. All right. Let us know what you think about SOPA being in a nondescript building out on somebody's piece of property. All right. Let us know what you think about the elected officials dressing down a member of the press trying to get answers to pass on to the public. All right. Let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts and we'll report on that. All right. As for now, that concludes our thing, and I appreciate you watching. We're SCDN number one for a reason, and that reason is y'all. We're supposed to say you, but yeah, y'all. Thanks for sticking around with me for this deep dive. We appreciate it very much.